Oh, Josh, we're 0-3, man. I don't think it's all doom and gloom yet. Is it?
Mm,
We're
I mean,
we're gonna break it down. How the team has definitely gotten better with each loss, but they're still losses. So that actually might be a more depressing stat than a positive one.
Phillips celebration and the run into the end zone. Caught Smith, touchdown!
All right, 305 Gridiron Gang. We are back for another episode of Miami Dolphins football chatter. I don't know if you even want to hear the chatter anymore
like
because it's been
therapy.
a pretty rough season so far. Listen, Thursday night football, we faced off against the Bills. Neither you nor I gave them a lick of a chance in this one, which made it even worse that they actually had a chance in this one and they
Yeah,
went ahead and blew it again.
yeah, yeah. I mean, look, it's a slow start. I'll tell you that much. But all
Oh.
joking aside, and as much as I am probably going to bash this team a little bit tonight, like I have been all season
Mhm.
so far, we came out and showed a little bit, man. We showed some life. It's still not enough, and still not happy with the product on the field. And there's still so many things wrong with this team from the top down, including our three major game-changing penalties, all being registered to our captains. So we have a lot of bad things to talk about. However, this is not the team that showed up against the Colts, which is good.
What made me even feel better about this team is that the rest of the teams in the league decided not to show up on Sunday either. I mean, we had some bad football this weekend, which made our Thursday
Sure
night
did.
game look at least
Palatable.
competent. I mean, at least on Thursday night, we went into the mid fourth quarter tied at 21 with the Buffalo Bills. I am not a man for moral victories, and I'm not going to stand here and say that we should be happy because we were competitive with the division. No, that's
No,
stupid. That is
no.
a weak take, just like this weak team. Um, we're not going to say that, but I will say that at least the team has gotten better 2 games in a row for whatever the heck that is worth. And we're going to get into that because we're
Mhm.
skipping our instant reactions because, well, it's 4 days later. There's
Yeah.
nothing instant about our reactions right now.
Yeah, and before we jump over to our takeaways, let's we got Abel in the chat. What's up, buddy?
Hello, Abel.
How's it going?
Welcome, buddy. Hopefully, you had some nice weekend rest.
Yeah, Abel, grab a couch. I'm gonna grab my notepad and pencil, and we're gonna have some therapy sessions. All right.
Black Eye in the house as
Hey,
well.
hey, there he
Good to
is.
see you. Thanks for joining us again tonight, fellas. We are talking Dolphins Bills, of course, the reaction episode of all reaction episodes, what you've all been waiting for 4 days now. So let's get into it, man. We're just jumping right into takeaways from the game. Screw instant reactions. Who needs it? So we're 0-3,
Yep.
and 0-3, as far as I'm concerned, is a pretty steep climb. Since 2000, there's only been a handful of teams that have actually made the playoffs after starting with an 0-3 record. And with the way this team has been playing, I'm not really confident we're going to be one of them. Uh, Even so, it's early enough in the season. This team could still respond positively. We still could get on a run. We've seen them win 9 games in a row before
Mhm.
to kind of revamp their entire season. The AFC is not looking particularly strong right now, which is
Shocking.
insane.
Yeah.
Um, the Chiefs are sitting there at 1-2. The Bengals just got absolutely demolished without Joe Burrow. We were just talking before we got on the air. The Texans and Jaguars both look awful. It is a real cold day in the NFL when Daniel Jones is looking like the top MVP candidate right now.
Yeah. NFL aside, which the wheels seem to be falling off of most teams except for the Colts, apparently. Miami 0-3, right? It's look, like you said it, historically 0-3 teams, they don't make the playoffs, let alone have a competitive year. And
No.
have teams turned it around? Not many, but yes. Do I think we have the mental fortitude, for lack of a better term, to do it right now in the manner in which we both know it needs to be done? No. And look, I just got done waxing poetic about, hey, you know what? We need to find positives. It can't all be negative. This one, unfortunately, playoffs, in my opinion, are a pipe dream at this point. And look, I hope to God I am proven wrong, right? Prove me wrong, Miami Dolphins. I know you listen to our show.
Yeah.
I know you care about our opinions. So please prove me wrong.
Here's the thing I'm seeing, man, is that our schedule, now that we're 3 weeks into the season, looks considerably more favorable than it did at the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets look bad again. Carolina, although they just thrashed Atlanta for the most part, they look bad. Chargers are a competitive competition, but they're coming to us. We're not going to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a positive. We play Cleveland, who looks bad. We play Atlanta, who has looked both bad and good, so who knows what team we're going to get there. And then later on in the season, we get New Orleans and New York again. We get Pittsburgh, who's looked bad. Cincinnati without Joe Burrow, who looked awful in their first game without him. And then we get Tampa and New England. Like, yes, realistically, we have the schedule, which would allow us to sneak into the playoffs should we win the games that we think we could win. My question, though, on this is why? What does that get us? Do we think we can win a playoff team? Does it really tickle the little fancy of the fans if we make the playoffs after an 0-3 start? Like, does that make anybody happy? Because what that means is that Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel are sticking around. I am sick and tired of this era of football from these two at this point. So even if we make the playoffs and we get blown out again, I'm not going to be a happy camper. Will any Dolphins fan be a happy camper?
Yeah, I mean, I think I probably would be a little bit because, you know, what a cool story, right? 0-3, the wheels have fallen off. Everyone's shit in the bed left and right. Tua looks like, you know, worse than the high school version of himself. You know, the coaching staff is imploding. Our cornerbacks are hot garbage. Our safeties our captains are making causing game changing penalties in the weighing moments of a very tight game against a division rival. Everything is drab and dark right now. And if we were to turn it around, I think it would be a really cool story. However,
I was going to say,
I know. However,
you avoided my question.
Yes, I agree with you, because where it is a very cool story and it would be a really amazing thing to experience as a fan. I mean, you know, this coaching staff there needs to be change. And what have we seen from Ross? Now, let me preface what I'm about to say with, I'm a Ross believer. I think Ross is a very good, I almost said GM, owner of this team. In a lot of ways, he's bad in some ways, but in a lot of ways what you want from your from your owner is to write checks and stay the fuck away from football operations, right? Hire people, trust your people. And if they, you know, don't do well, hold them accountable and get new ones. That's the part that he sucks at, is holding people accountable, because Chris Grier has been in his position now for what? They're not in his, with the team for 15,
years.
25, something like that years. He's been in this position for 8-ish, 9. He hasn't been good, right? He's made some decent draft picks. He's made some good trades. He's made some good signings. Change is needed. And if you can't see it,
no depth.
No, if you can't see that change is needed, you are a blind fan. Take your rose-colored glasses off and really have a come to Jesus moment with yourself. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I go back to the whole, okay, we made the playoffs, but we got blown out, because I don't think we beat the playoff caliber teams, even if we do somehow sneak in because we have a favorable schedule. And it's like, what does that buy you? It buys you a worse draft pick and a slice of feeling good about yourself for a moment before you're annoyed again because Tua blew it or somebody else enter name here blew it, and then Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier get extended for another year, and it's like what we buy by making the playoffs isn't worth making the playoffs.
Yeah, the juice ain't worth the squeeze.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? Here, Abel, I understand this. You get making the playoffs means you get a shot at the dance, and that's all you need. But that last word is what we're talking about. You know, and Black Eye here for a tank for anybody else knew everything.
It's a challenge. We're going to talk about Tua a lot. There's a challenge there with his contract. He's obviously uncuttable, but he is tradable, which is
he's not uncuttable. So I
mean,
I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, and I I wish I would have had
It'd be like a
bit.
Deshaun Watson size cut, though.
It really wouldn't be that. Kyle Krabs, shout out to Kyle Krabs, Letdowns Dolphins, did a whole breakdown of his contract and we have 2 outs. I don't know the numbers, and I'm not going to pull them up while I'm on the show live. I don't think that's fair to the fans to watch me kind of head down doing some research. But essentially, there's a way for us to next season to push his money out and cut him post June, and it would still be a substantial cap hit. And then there's another scenario in which we don't push his money out and cut him, but pay him a certain amount, or we hold him over for a year. I can't really. We do have outs of his contract that aren't horrible, that are palatable.
I mean, I think regardless, we're paying him in somewhere in the $50 to $60 million not to play for us.
No, it's actually what if Kyle Krabs' math was right, it was like in the high 30s.
He's the only person I've heard report it that way.
Yeah,
Everybody else is reporting 50 to 60. So not that I don't trust Kyle, but
no, I'm just saying. I'm not saying he's right or wrong, but it was it's interesting.
What I find more interesting even than that is that suddenly there's like a talking head collaboration in favor of Mike McDaniel, as if he didn't have any role in the re-signing of Tua Tagovailoa, or he hasn't had any role in the shape of this roster. Suddenly everybody's jumping on Chris Grier, and he deserves a lot of it. But there's just suddenly this huge like talking head momentum towards, well, it's not the coach's problem, it's the GM's problem. Bro, if he did not want Tua, they wouldn't have re-signed Tua, right? Like, Chris Grier is a coach's GM. We've talked about this 1,000 times. Do not listen to these talking heads who have no idea what the Dolphins organization is like, because it's just not true. Grier gets who the coach wants. I know that there was a lot of controversy around Brian Flores wanting Herbert over Tua. We still don't know, and we probably never will know if that's true. Because Flores, even in his disgruntled state, did not say that. So, listen, I am confused by the sudden momentum for Mike McDaniel as a coach. We have watched him regress in many ways, or just stay the same and not grow in many ways. There's no discipline on this team. It's just, what pains me the most is that I am agreeing with the talking heads on like ESPN, who are the loudmouth guys who you never want to agree with. Like, I'm in agony because I'm agreeing with like Rex Ryan and Richard Sherman, and it's like, I don't want to agree with these guys.
No, and I get it, right? And I understand you're kind of waxing poetic a little bit, but you're not also at the same time. and I will say this: I am leaning towards getting away from Mike McDaniel. Do I think he could be successful in his next stop? I've said it since the offseason. I think Mike McDaniel is the type of coach that'll take his collective experience here with the Miami Dolphins, maybe be a coordinator for a year or two, get a second head coaching job, and be a very successful head coach, right? Because he still has a lot to learn. Even if he turns this thing around, in air quotes, and we make the playoffs, and everyone is shitting rainbows because, hey, Miami went from 0-3 to the playoffs. Cool. There, to your point, there are so many basic things that he is not doing well as a head coach. Our team isn't prepared. There's pre-snap things. There's can't get to play-ins on times. There's wasting timeouts. There's situational awareness that he lacks. There's so many things.
Yeah.
At a certain point, it's not about is he a good or bad coach. It's we need a new perspective in the building. And this is just from my opinion, based on my
Honestly,
opinion.
he reminds me way too much of Josh McDaniels. And it's not just because they have a similar last name. As a young guy who's talked up heavily, very stubborn, won't make any changes even when they're necessary. And because of that, I really don't see him having success beyond here. Once he loses his job, if he does get another one, which these young guys tend to, I just think, will he change is the big question mark there.
Yeah, and maybe he won't, right? I hope he does. I don't want him to fall out of the league. I don't hate him as a human being. I want him to be successful. I just don't want him to coach my beloved Miami Dolphins anymore.
If I have to one more of his press conferences, I might hate him as a human being. I can't take it something anymore.
It is painful.
Can't take it anymore. Neither can Abel. He's annoyed with him too. Get him out of here. Yep. That's a true point though. That's like, I didn't think about that. No emotion when we're down, only when we're up.
Yep.
He rides the highs and sinks with the lows.
Yep.
All right, so we're 0-3. It's a steep climb, but I think the biggest thing I think we can agree on, and that's our second takeaway here from the Dolphins-Bills Thursday night matchup. Let us know what you think about 0-3 and making the playoffs. Do you want to see us make the playoffs? Do you not want to see us make the playoffs? Do you even see it as plausible? Which I know is an insane question because we haven't won a freaking game or even looked like we were close to winning a game.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know in the chat, in the comments, what do you think about our 0-3 start and our chances at the playoffs?
Yeah, and one more little thing, because you mentioned it, and I meant to go back to it when you said,
Sure.
our schedule is seems favorable with how some of the teams are playing. If we can win the games that we should win, we might make, we could see a better record. Honestly, I have zero confidence that we can win games that we should, because we're 0-2 against teams that we should have won, in my opinion. Right?
Fair enough. A lot of people I've watched who are not Dolphins fans, I like to try to watch people outside of the team to get like a different perspective. I see a lot of 5 to 6 wins is the prediction at this point, which I can see that for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
which would suck. I'd rather not win a single one.
Watching some of these games, I can't even find one win. So we'll see what we do against the Jets next week. All right, the main cause of all this grief, and well, I'm just going to leave it at grief. There's no other word that can really describe it. Is the freaking severe lack of discipline on this team. There's mental errors left and right. Like you mentioned at the start of the show, our captains this time were at the head of the mental error rally this week. They may have just held a freaking parade at this point. Like, hey, here's the mental error parade. Follow us. It stinks, dude. Like, we are one Zach Wheeler not roughing the kicker and one Tyreek Hill catching a ball that hits him in the hands away from winning against the Buffalo Bills on Thursday night. And yet, here we are, 0-3 with a 10-point loss instead.
Yeah, not to mention Jordan Brooks.
My God, I forgot about that.
Was it roughing the passer? Is that what it was?
After the whistle.
Yeah,
nothing you could even argue. I mean, it
like
was
7 steps after the ball was released. So,
yeah.
There was one more. I can't remember who.
There were so many.
Irregardless. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a reoccurring theme, right? And you and I are both firm believers, and we've said it on the show, where with this team, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? And I don't want to hear, we just insert random excuse on why something didn't happen, right? Or, you know what, we're going to get better. Well, you know what, you should be better. You shouldn't have to. We will work on getting better. You should be better. You guys are professional athletes making bajillions of dollars playing a sport that should theoretically consume the majority of your life until you retire, right? I understand players have other things going on. I get it. But point stands. Coaches, you get paid very handsomely to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, have every single thing available to you that you could possibly need to be successful, from staff to equipment to trainers to film to insert other thing that I can't think of on the fly. And yet we still show up looking like a team that has just for the very first time looked at the playbook today. And that falls on the coaches. So yes, it is a player problem, but it starts at the top, right? And that's where the whole conversations about Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier and Anthony Weaver. And, look, I understand Weaver got dealt a shit hand, right? He really did, with bad cornerbacks. And that really limits and hamstrings what you can do on defense, because certain things need time to develop. But the way his defense has looked, Anthony Weaver, and the way Mike McDaniel's offense, and I say Mike McDaniel because he's the one that calls the offensive plays, has been atrocious so far this season. And at what point, where's the accountability, right? And that is something that this team, it's a constant talking point, whether it's us, whether it's other, more prominent media folks. Where's the accountability, right?
Yeah, we're going to talk more about him in the next takeaway. But I mean, I think in the offensive rides and dies with Tua, I mean, you're many years in this league at this point. You're the quarterback. You should be the leader. Yeah. And it's just the offense is regularly not prepared. And on the defensive side, Zach Sealer, I mean, how surprising is it that we're talking about him in such a negative light
crazy
here today? I will say, like, on the positive sides of the discipline and mental errors, at least the time of possession game improved like greatly in this one. 28 minutes to 31, which was huge. We talked about that in our preview show. Like, we were we were out time of possession 2-1
Yeah.
in the first 2 weeks of the year. So to see us right that ship a little bit was fantastic. We did have double the penalties of the Bills, but it was 6-3. It wasn't as enormous as it
No,
seems.
but some of the 3 of those penalties were, I mean, like
The
literally
three-
game altering.
That's the problem, is that they were
Yeah.
game-changing penalties. But I don't want it to seem like we were penalized 15 times, right?
No, of course.
6 penalties, 57 yards. 3 of them were huge enough that they turned the tide of the game, which is unfortunate. But I do think that there's more improvement there. Like I said, I'm not a moral victory person, but there are positives to look at from this game. So time of possession improvement is really 6 penalties. I think on a regular day, if we had made 6 penalties and they weren't game-changing as they were, we would have been, okay, that's fine. 10 for 15 on third down, fantastic. We 1 for 1 on fourth down. Like, overall, this was our best performance, which wasn't hard to be our best performance.
I mean, that's fair.
But I do think that I was annoyed and disappointed by losing, especially in the way that we did. When you're tied at 21 in the middle of the fourth quarter and you have a real chance, you get the ball back, your defense makes a stop, which was not something we did often in this game. But once I sat back and looked at it and let the anger seep out, which we've had 4 days to do,
that has helped the morale of the show.
And regardless of where I want to go away from MMD, I want to go away from Grier. Like, still a Dolphins fan, still looking for us to pick up a win here and there. And I think if you would ask me, will we beat the Jets on Monday night after week 2, I would have said not a chance in hell. If you ask me now after this Bills game, I'd say, well, there's a much better chance than I thought, before.
Yeah. I mean, look, again, right, there's 2 sides to every coin, right? And the defense looked drastically better than it had all season, right, against the Bills, outside of the first quarter, which I guess it took us a quarter to ramp up, right, because Josh Allen did whatever the hell he wanted. But, they buckled down and admittedly they did very well, right? Tua, we'll talk about him later. Okay. But Achane, really great game, and we'll talk about him later. A couple touchdowns to a couple our top 2 wide receivers. That's outstanding, right? Like, there are some silver linings to all of this. It's just not enough. And it's one thing to try your best to focus on the silver linings, but what you're doing is you're not focusing on the problems, right? Because you don't want, you insert random fan's name, don't want to deal with it. And I fully understand that. And you know what? Hey, that's a valid thing to do, right? I mean, I get it. It sucks. However, at a certain point, we all need to really come together and understand that this regime is busted, right? There are some serious cracks in this foundation. And we as fans, we care so much. That's why we're so angry, right? If I didn't give a shit about this team, I'd be laughing and saying, well, maybe next year. Right. But I genuinely care about this team. I love this team. I've been a fan of this team since I was born. I want to see us do well. And I don't think that we have the pieces in place at certain key positions on the field, but also in certain key positions off the field, as in coaches, to make the turnaround.
Yeah, it is depressing when even positions you thought you could rely on are underperforming.
Yep.
Which I think, if the season keeps going the way it is, I think we will see a much cleaner house than even we anticipate. I think there's going to be a lot of names that people may not be okay with seeing let go.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our takeaway number 3. It's got to be Tua. It's got to be Tua, man. I mean, in the moment, it seemed like he's having a good game, and then you start looking at it after the fact and realizing that, goodness gracious, what the heck are we doing out there? There's no other way to describe it but that he's just a roller coaster, dude. And he's too old at this point to still be playing in such a roller coaster fashion, right? Like, season 1, 2, and 3, you're like, okay, it takes 3 years to get, acclimated to the league and to the speed of the sport and all those other things. I mean, I don't even know, what is it, year 6, year 7? Like, what are we doing here, man? Late game mistakes in 3 games in a row to lose us. Well, they didn't lose us the first one. Plenty of things we did wrong on that one, but loses us the Patriots game. We could have easily won that one. Loses us the Bills game, which we were definitely in towards the end. I mean, that I get it. There's Kurt Warner's come out in defense of him and said, that throw for the interception is what he would have done too. It's him reading the defense. But when the chips are on the table and it's time to seal the win, Tua's nowhere to be found.
Yeah, and that's been the real big thing, right?
Mhm.
For a lot of his career, but also mainly this year. It's not the lack of production. It's the key mistakes and big moments when the game is on the line, or when the tide is starting to turn in the team's favor, or when the defense just stepped up after playing and then basically an entire quarter in the second game, played all of the first quarter pretty much, because all the offense was doing was going in and out, three and out rather. Then to get on the field, put a play together, put another play together, bam, backbreaking interception. This game, driving the field, we have a chance at really kind of the defense stops Josh Allen. We were struggling all night. They got it done. We get on the field. We make a run, a good chunk run by Achane. Bam, Tua drops back, sees Hill, locks in on Hill. You can see it on the tape. He doesn't move his eyes. He doesn't look at any other reads, locks onto him. And yes, Tyreek Hill made the wrong play. He ran the wrong route, which is another thing that we can talk about. Tyreek Hill runs the wrong routes all the time. Because
I'll talk about it later.
Yeah, he should have cut in front of, fine. We'll talk about it later.
Mm-hmm.
But Tua needs to have situational awareness. I understand you're trying to get arguably one of the best players on your team the ball to make a play, but read the fucking room, dude. You know what I mean? Like, maybe go to your second or third read before you make that pass, or maybe check it down, right? Because you can't make those mistakes.
Yeah, to me, I think this is a good question. Do we think that the Dolphins' talk theory of injuries catching up to Tua or prior concussion is affecting him? I don't see it that way. To me, he's playing scared. He doesn't trust his offensive line. He's regularly dropping and running out of the pocket instead of stepping up into the pocket. He's regularly not trusting his receivers, which I can't say I blame him too much, to Josh's point he just made. You know, when your lead guy is consistently running the wrong route, what are you supposed to do about that?
Yeah.
And I just think that, like, I think defenses have caught up to what he does well. And you heard it from Xavier Howard after week 1. Like, if you kill his first read, it's incredibly difficult for him to move on to the next one. And while that may be a simplification of what's going on, I'm sure Xavier would have loved to go in the details, but who's going to understand it? I think that's a pattern you've seen now 3 weeks in a row, is the panic button in his brain is pressed as soon as that first read doesn't happen the way he expects it to, whether it's Tyreek running the wrong route or the receiver falling or whatever it is his instinct isn't to make a play, it's to survive. And that's what we're seeing out there. We're seeing a quarterback that's playing to survive, not a quarterback that's playing to win.
Yeah, and I specifically don't think that Mike McDaniel in particular, because he's the key driver in these play designs, right? At least from what we understand. I don't think Mike McDaniel is doing him any favors either. Like, I'm not putting all of this on Tua, right? I think the play design is also something that other teams are catching up to, right? And Mike McDaniel thinks very highly of himself, it seems, in that aspect, and is refusing, for all intents and purposes, based on what I can see, to make any sort of mass changes and to adjust with the times. He's still running the same style of offense that he ran when he first got here. And if that's fine, if this type of motion offense is your foundation, that is totally fine. But you have to adjust to the adjustments. And he's not adjusting to the adjustments, which then leads Tua to make mistake after mistake after mistake, because defenses know how to play him now. Because how was Tua successful in 2023? Teams didn't know who was doing what. So Tua could sit back there because defenses had to drop off. And he could survey the field and do what he does best, which is be accurate.
Yeah.
Now teams know exactly what's going on.
That's an amazing point. I didn't even think about that. It's that all of the trickery hasn't changed. So teams have seen it on film. They know it's coming. And that's it. Like, as soon as they see the formation or the guy in motion, they know what's going to happen. And none of that is letting Tua off the hook, because Tua has played like dog shit all year. Like, pardon my French, but I there's no other way of saying it. It's just, it's a I don't know. I can't think of the term right now, but it's a comedy of errors. Yeah.
right? Because it's all across the, it's Tua, it's the wide receivers, it's half of our offensive line is a third string offensive line at this point. It's the coaching staff not adjusting. It's a mess, dude.
Yeah, which a blind squirrel could have seen. And we're going to talk about Grier
Yeah.
next, trust me. But how many
Yes.
times this offseason did we mention, hey, man, if one guy in this offensive line gets hurt, that's it. It's over.
Yep. And
Guess
Abel,
what? Three guys on the offensive line got hurt. It's more than over.
Yeah. Yeah. And Abel makes a really good point here, right?
Yeah.
Versus complementary football. You were screaming on it on the Frozen Fin fan show. But one side of the ball never helps out the other. And that is something that you and I have talked about.
Oh, yeah.
All season. It's like the defensive does something well, the defensive side does something well, and the offensive shits the bed. The offensive side does something well, and the defensive lets the other team run down and score a touchdown.
They forced 2 3-and-outs against Josh Allen. This defense, which is probably the worst defensive unit I've seen on this team in the Mike McDaniel era, forced 2 3-and-outs against Josh Allen, and we got 0 points off of it.
Yeah.
Absurd.
Yeah,
Absurd.
and Black Eye here, McDaniel's the reason Tua has lasted this long. Yeah, no, I am not debating that.
I actually love this question.
Yeah.
The statement, I'm sorry.
Yeah. You know, and it's caught up to both of them. I could not agree with you more. And I think that is something that we've talked about, right? That Mike McDaniel is the reason Tua got a second contract, and Tua is the reason that Mike McDaniel hasn't been fired yet. They fully belong together because Anthony, I think you said it, was it last week or the week before? If another coach comes in, Tua's got to be gone because
right.
McDaniel's the best thing for Tua. And you know, I don't know. I don't know what happens.
I like this statement though, because I was going to ask you the question.
Yeah.
You know, Tua's contract is tricky, and yes, we can get out of it, and yes, there's always levers we can pull, whatever.
Mhm.
But if another coach comes in, and like we heard when Mike McDaniel was not our first choice or even our 17th choice, guys were coming in and being told you need to work with Tua, right? Mike was really the only one that came in and was like, "Cool, I'll do that."
Yeah, I can figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. If that caveat exists again, if McDaniel and Grier are let go tomorrow, and the next guy is being told, "Oh, you got to work with Tua," is there anything left in the tank there? Do we think that Tua as a player has something left? There's just maybe this scheme, he's outgrown the scheme, or I don't know, maybe the off the field issues and the head cases in the offensive rooms are getting to him. I don't know. Like, we've seen a lot of growth out of Tua, but I feel like this season, especially, and much of last season, it has stagnated.
Yeah, and you know, honestly, I don't know the answer to that question because I'm admittedly a Tua guy. I think Tua has all of the tools to be a good quarterback, and not a great quarterback, not a top 5 quarterback in this league. I'm not delusional, but a quarterback that can get a team regularly to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Whether or not they win the playoffs, that's a whole nother conversation. However, I don't know what I've seen from Tua. I mean, you go back to 2023, you asked me this question. I'm like, bring somebody in. They'll make it work with Tua. Tua will adjust. He's smart. He can figure it out. You asked me that question this year. I don't really know. And to be completely frank, even as a Tua guy, as a guy that has signed Tua gear and has a Tua jersey and has been one of the very few people in our collective group of Dolphins fans, Anthony, that is like, yeah, I'm a Tua guy.
Yeah.
If we get a new coach and the coach doesn't want Tua, fucking get Tua out of here. Team first. Sorry. You know what I mean? I play for the front of the jersey, not the back of the jersey.
Yeah, this without a doubt. I mean, 4,600 yards in 2023 with 29 touchdowns and 14 picks, which has always been the problem is the picks, man. To last year, 2,800. I know he only played 11 games, but his average dropped an entire yard. He was sacked 21 times in only 11 games.
Yep.
I
think for Tua to be successful, he needs an all-pro offensive line. And the fact that Chris Grier doesn't recognize that is frustrating.
Well, we just saw that with Carson Wentz in Minnesota. We saw that with Daniel Jones in Indianapolis so far this year. I mean, listen, if you are a limited quarterback, you need an offensive line and a defense. Trent Dilfer won a freaking Super Bowl. He was not a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
No.
Right? The team cut him after that year. He won a Super Bowl and got cut.
Yeah.
How often does a Super Bowl winning quarterback get cut?
I mean, shit, look at Minshew, right?
Yeah.
He
made the playoffs, yeah.
With the Eagles,
Jaguars,
right?
Yeah.
Well, didn't he play for the Eagles? And who am I thinking? Maybe it's not Minshew.
No, that was Nick Foles.
Foles, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, Foles, same situation, right?
Yeah, but Minshew brought the Jaguars to the playoffs, and then the
Yeah.
next year they drafted Lawrence, and
That's gone well.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Well, maybe
know.
it was 2 years after that they drafted because they wouldn't have had a first round pick after first overall pick after
Yeah.
after making the playoffs.
I know what you mean. But basically, long story short, I'm not to be repetitive, but I care about the name on the front of the jersey as opposed to the name on the back. Do I like Tua? Yes. Do I think Tua has the tools? Yes. Do I think he's putting them together this year? Absolutely not. And that's troubling.
And what stinks about it is that I was really hoping Tua came in with haters for no reason.
Yes.
Similar
very
to,
much so.
I mean, Shador is not that similar to Shador. Shador has haters for a lot of reasons,
Wow,
but
me
it's
included.
it's not for his play on the field, right?
No.
And Tua came in. It went from tank for Tua, everybody wanting Tua,
Mhm.
to everybody
We can't
hates
believe we passed Herbert, right?
right for
Yeah.
no reason really, other than the fact that we passed on Herbert to
Mhm.
get Tua. And now Herbert has been a okay quarterback. I mean, he's looking pretty good this year, but he's also battled injuries on a regular basis, same as Tua, although it
Mhm.
doesn't get talked about that often. So my point is, I really wanted to see him succeed. I
Same.
really wanted him to prove all the doubters wrong. But at a certain point, and I know this is what Ross is thinking too, because he hears the noise. He ain't stupid.
Of course he does. He's
Like,
not stupid.
he wanted the same thing. But at a certain point, man, you have to admit that the experiment's over. It's time to move on.
Yeah, and I will say this, right? And I know, speaking of moving on, I know we have to move on to the next
Yes.
point. However, I will say this. I'll end my statement with this. If Ross this offseason bounces Tua and the coaching staff, but we're talking about Tua, bounces Tua because of a new coaching staff or whatever the case is, I will respect him for it because I respect companies in general that give employees the opportunity to improve. Even if you're stumbling and you're tripping over your own feet, he cannot leave this team and say, well, they didn't give me the chance. They didn't put the things that, dude, we gave you every single we gave you weapons.
Yep.
50+% of the quarterbacks in this league would die to have.
Well,
and you didn't. And if you don't do anything with them at a certain point, to your point, that's on you, dude.
Yeah.
Like that's nobody else's fault.
And when, I mean, look what happened there with Flores, even, right? Like,
Yeah.
He did not get along with Flores. So which one got the boot, right? It wasn't Tua that got the boot. It was Flores that got the boot after a winning season. So, like,
I mean, yes, Flores got the boot for many other reasons, but yes, I
yeah,
get your
but
point.
listen, I know you don't like Flores, but there were many players that we liked that came out in favor of Flores.
Of
So,
course.
like,
What
there's
else
two
was I gonna
sides to
say?
every story here. And look, we kept Tua instead of Flores. Flores doesn't have a head coaching job, but he's doing pretty good things up there in Minnesota. Tua's here. He did pretty good things for us for a little bit, getting a coach with builds confidence and that is a player's coach. But now we're seeing that hasn't really amounted to what we hoped it would either. So I don't know if there's any winner in that situation, really.
There really isn't. No.
So let's talk about the front office, though. Moving on, let us know what your thoughts are on Tua. I'm sure there are lots of thoughts on Tua.
Yes, please.
There's a lot to say about him.
Yes.
Because we're going to move on to the front office, specifically Chris Grier and his staff. We've talked a lot about Mike McDaniel in past shows. We've talked a lot about Mike McDaniel in this show. Him and Tua are tied at the hip, so it's hard to talk about one without the other. So let's talk about Chris Grier. This team has been lacking depth for years at this stage. We've gotten some good roster buildups as far as the starters go. At least what we thought were good roster buildups as far as starters go. But I'm starting to see more and more, similar to what we talked about with McDaniel being stuck to his guys, seeing Grier stuck to his guys, like paying guys that maybe shouldn't be paid. Or at least are being paid more than anybody else is willing to offer them. Jalen Ramsey, bringing in guys like Bradley Chubb for a first-round pick and then paying him the boatload without any proof, coming off of an injury, right? And Grier's like specialty is coming off an injury. We see Melifonwu hurt and missed a game already, 3 weeks into the season. Listen, the bottom line is this roster is not very good, and it's been sold to us that it is very good. But now we're 0-3. We're looking at an extreme lack of depth at many positions. I mean, at some point, and I know a lot of talking heads are now too, Chris Grier is under the microscope in the national media. Chris Grier should probably be under the microscope amongst Dolphins fans as well.
Yeah, and Abel, yes, I fully understand and buy into this when it comes to draft picks. You can't hit on every lottery ticket you buy, right? You can, I haven't hit on a single one that I bought. However,
he's missed on a lot of them.
he's missed on a lot of them, right? And at a certain point, you change the store where you go buy them, right? Or you change the numbers that you play, or for insert random lottery analogy, right? And where, Chris Grier has not drafted very well. I mean, he does have some really, really good late round hits. He has not drafted well where it matters, right? I don't have the statistics in front of me, but it is something that I did look up, and I don't remember them, so I'm not going to make them up. But I mean, first round picks have not been that great. Second round picks have not been that great. Third round picks have not been that great. Fourth, fifth, okay. Sixth and seventh have been stellar given what they are. And then you go and you look at his free agent signings. I mean, there's a couple cool, okay, good players, right? Couple in-season signings like Jordan Brooks, right? For example, like Zach Sealer coming off the practice squad. I think that was a phenomenal signing.
He signed Cam Wake too, didn't he?
Yeah, Cam Wake from Canada. Yep. I mean, really good signing. Some good signings, right?
Yeah.
There are also a shitload of bad ones.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Ones that don't pan out, ones that get injured, and I understand injuries are part of the game. I get it. Right. Fully understand that. Right. So he can't control if a player gets injured, but what you can control is looking at, Calais. There you go, Abel. Yeah. Here's another one. That's a huge one. Right. But you can't control. I understand you can't control a player getting injured on the field, but you can control a player's injury history. You can do your own research and do your due diligence. And it seems like in certain cases, he hasn't. And then you look at his decisions on some of the contracts that he's given out to some of these players, and some of the re-ups that he's given some of these players, and some of the ways he's been. I'm not in the rooms, but the perception that he's getting bullied into large contracts by certain players, Jalen Ramsey, and it's just, there's a lot of like, okay, that's sure, like, I guess, right. And if it pans out, hey, you look like a genius, but it's not panned out very well. I mean, I don't know.
Even in this year's draft, I love Kenneth Grant, but there were 2 or 3 top tier corners available to you, and our defensive line was pretty good, man. Yep. We had lots of talent there already. So instead of maybe getting a position of huge need. And I know you're not supposed to draft for need, but everybody freaking does. That's just a saying that they throw out at the draft time like 1,000 times. Like, are we sure we don't want Will Campbell or Jahdae Barron right now? Because I feel like we could use one of those guys.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, Will Campbell. Or not Will Campbell. Who's the Michigan quarterback?
Will Campbell, I think, right? Yeah.
I thought that was the offensive lineman. Whatever. The Wolverines cornerback.
Yeah, that guy. That's who I was thinking of.
He's like one of the best corners. He's like a top 5 cornerback in this league right now. If you look at his stats, right? He's got like 7 pass breakups, like 3 interceptions. He was out
this week, and Arizona lost, by the way.
Yeah. So Will Johnson. Thank you. I'm a draft guy. I should know that. Sorry. But yeah, no, I mean, like, those are the kind, I was banging the table for Jahdae Barron or Will Johnson, like banging the table. I was like, please, for the love of God, please don't make us go into this season. Our defensive front is good. Yeah. I understand you wanted to strengthen the strength of a defensive position. Sure.
But he ends up doing it later anyways. And I know you can't know that, but like, if you're drafted 3 defensive tackles and one corner,
yeah,
it makes no sense.
Yeah.
He drafted 1 safety at a time where we didn't have any safeties. We didn't have Minka yet.
Yep.
It was like, what are you doing? And then
there's a lot, man. That's just
even more recently with the trading Jonnu away and then getting freaking Darren Waller, like that was going to be something. I mean, to Black Guy's point here, we could have drafted Tyler Warren, who looks fantastic.
Yeah,
it's like, yes, hindsight is 20/20, but these were things we were shouting out during the draft.
Yep. I mean, go back and watch. Go back and watch the draft show. Oh wait, that was for the other podcast.
Different podcast, but watch it anyways.
Never mind. Go give the Finns forecast some love. But we said it there. We did a live draft show, and for for those of you that are live here and those of you that are watching later, this year, this draft, we are also going to do a live draft show. And we were banging it like, dude, just please, for the love of God, get somebody good in a position of need, and then address a position of strength, right? And don't get me wrong, Kenneth Grant, I think he's going to be a baller for us.
Yeah.
Hasn't shown it yet, but he's a rookie.
It just wasn't needed. It
Exactly.
wasn't needed.
Exactly.
And the other thing that annoyed me about this draft is you only have 3 picks in the top 100. And then you trade up using one of those picks to get Jonah. I get it. Jonah's supposed to be very good. He hasn't shown it yet. But man, you only had 3 picks in the top 100. So now we are relying heavily on guys in the 5th, 6th, and 7th round to make this roster and have meaningful contributions, which they are, but only because they have to, right? We don't have anybody else.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So I guess the before we get into legends and letdowns, the big question really when we talk about the front office build is who is more to blame here? The front office for the roster that they have given to the coaching staff, or the coaching staff for their lack of ability to get the most out of the roster?
Yeah, and before I answer that, shout out to Frozen Fins fan for jumping in. What's up, buddy? Thanks for jumping. Hey, man. I'm going to be honest with you, man. Where I firmly believe the players have been playing like dog shit, right? I have to put the blame on the front office to start, because I think specifically in big giant organizations like this. Now, you and I we have jobs, right? We don't pay
any bills.
Look, I will tell you this. Not yet. I will tell you this. I can make decisions in my role. I can't make big decisions in my role, right? And so at a certain point, the players have to play with what they get. They have to run the plays that their boss, aka their head coach or their offensive coordinator, is telling them, or the defensive coordinator. They have to throw it to the employees that they are working with that were hired, aka the wide receivers and the other players around them. But who is making all of those decisions? And it comes down to the front office. And they have let the players down. They have let the fans down for many, many years, many, many decades. However, they've let the players down on the field. They have not supported the players in the manner in which these chosen players need to be supported. And where I think a question can be had of, is Tua the right guy? Should we have traded for Tyreek Hill? Should we have insert other thing? Those aren't the questions that we're talking about. We're talking about, okay, you chose Tua. You did your research on Tua, hopefully. You know what Tua is and what he can and can't do. Yet you failed to support him in the manner in which he needs to be supported. Now, that is a failure on Tua, certainly, because he's playing like shit. However, it's more of a failure on the front office for making the choices that they made for players to put around him.
And when he did have a good offensive line, you got rid of Tunsil and you let Robert Jones walk in free agency. So,
yep.
All right, let's move on. Final segment of the day. It is our classic legends and letdowns. Getting really hard to pick legends, boys and girls.
Yes,
I'm telling you.
It is.
But these are the legends, the guys who were impactful to the game in a meaningful way, or just guys we really like. So don't judge us. The letdowns are guys who were impactful in the game in a negative way, if you couldn't put that
AKA
together.
Regular Dolphins players. Yes.
Regular Dolphins players. So we're going to
you undersold legends and letdowns, sir. This is the best segment in sports media history. I'm just saying.
Well, you need to make a drop for that then, because
I will. I got to make an intro video.
I don't have like that announcer voice to make a drop.
Like Tua, get your shit together. No, I'm kidding.
Well, you can't choose your voice. You can't change it. I'll talk to my father and my mother about it. All right, moving on. Let's talk letdowns first, and we'll end on a high note with legends. We're going to reverse it this week.
I like it.
Yeah, let's start with you, dude. Start with your first letdown of the week.
Yeah, so mine are the captains of this team and the penalties that they committed. Zach Sealer roughing the kicker in the fourth quarter. I'm going to list the penalties. These aren't all captains, but
do it.
Zach Sealer roughing the kicker in the fourth quarter. Jack Jones, defensive pass interference in the first quarter. Keon Smith, ineligible downfield player downfield during a pass. Kenny Brett, illegal block above the waist. Jonas Savaianaya, ineligible player downfield. I'm getting hyped, so I can't talk. Jordan Brooks, captain, unnecessary roughness. It's just when you look at Sealer and Brooks's penalties in this game, one was in the third quarter, which was huge, and Sealer's was in the fourth quarter, which was game sealing, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Couple that with how the other captains on this team are playing, that can't be accepted. by us fans, by fellow players, and by this coaching staff. And I get that shit happens and players aren't perfect and they're not robots and they're human beings and things sure. But you as captains are held to higher standards. And you failed as captains. Captains are the reason that we lost this game. One of you is. Right. You are you were the nail in the coffin, for lack of a better term. And where I like Zach Sealer, I think he's a phenomenal player. I'm glad we re-signed him. I don't ever want him to leave this team. He was the final nail in the coffin against the Bills, and he needs to own it. And I think he has, right? Which I respect. He's come out, he fully owned it. He took it on the chin. Great. Don't let it happen again.
My letdown actually was Zach Sealer as well. I know yours was mostly captains. And listen, it changed the momentum of the game. Throw the penalty yards out, throw the first down out, throw it all out. It completely changed the momentum of the game. It went from the Dolphins stopping the Bills to the Dolphins giving up a touchdown to the Bills and then being down. It could have been, hey, we get the ball on the punt and take the lead and maybe run some clock out because we were actually decided to run the ball in this game, which is shocking.
Yep.
Steelers having a down year, only 10 tackles on the season, no pass deflections, just one run stuff, no fumbles of any kind, no sacks of any kind. We're 3 games in. People are starting to talk, right? It's the money talking here. He gets paid in the offseason. Yeah, I agree completely on Zach Sealer. But since we both talked about Sealer, let me run into an offensive player who I have a bone to pick with. And that is none other than Tyreek Hill. It's always Tyreek Hill. For love of God, it's always Tyreek Hill.
He's the new Joy Employer.
Tyreek Hill comes off an amazing game against the Patriots where he had 100-plus yards and a 30-plus yard catch for the first time in, I think it was 13 weeks or something, 13 regular season games or something like that. Yep. Comes into this game with a 49 yards and a touchdown, which on the surface isn't a bad stat line until you look at the complete lack of concentration and dropping of a bomb down the field that could have helped turn the tide to this game. Listen, we all know that Tua cannot throw the ball 80 yards downfield. Tyreek has been playing with him for 3 years. He knows that Tua can't throw the ball 80 yards down the field. So finally, they get their connection we saw so much in 2023, where Tyreek burns it down the field like he's going to keep running, gets the corners turned around running so that their backs are facing the quarterback, and Tua throws it short so that Tyreek can come back to it.
Yep.
Right in the hands, dude.
Went right through his hands. Through his hands.
Yeah. Right through his hands.
Criminal.
And is one play enough for me to put somebody on the letdowns list? You sure as shit right it is. Because that was a huge play.
Yeah.
And we talked about it in the preview show. Everything needed to be perfect to beat this team.
Yep.
And that was such a huge drop from a guy who used to be so clutch. I mean, we talked about him his first year with us, like nonstop, of his ability to high point a ball as a 5'10" wide receiver. That's insane. It's insane. But you can't even catch a ball that's thrown and hit you right in the hands at a time where your team needs it the most. In my opinion, Tua is not the only one who chokes in big moments. Tyreek is just as big of a problem. When it comes to the big moments, he chokes. We saw it against the frickin' Chiefs in the playoffs. Yep. We saw it in this game multiple times, and we saw it all season. I haven't even touched on the fact that he's running the incorrect route 1,000 times a freaking game. I don't know how Tua is supposed to tell where he's going to be half the time. It's been a messy year from a guy who openly doesn't want to be here. And I just, talking of Chris Grier, when a guy says he doesn't want to be here, believe him and get rid of him.
Get rid of him. Yeah, you know, Tyreek. Oof. I saw something that he has averaged, was it 2 or 3? I can't remember the number. It was like 2 or 3 plays per game where he runs the wrong route. That is atrocious from what is your most expensive and perceived number 1 wide receiver in the league.
Because we don't have a quarterback. Like, I get people are going to say, well, Gronkowski did that all the time and Kelsey does that all. Like, they had quarterbacks who are good on the fly.
They have generational quarterbacks. I'm sorry.
We do not have a quarterback who is good on the fly like that. We have a guy who studies that playbook and expects exactly what's in that playbook to happen on the field, right?
Yep.
I love Tua, but he is neither Tom Brady nor Patrick Mahomes.
No, and that's the other thing. It's like I hear those all the time. Well, Gronk did. Yeah, Gronk had the best, and now that he's retired and no longer paid, he had the best quarterback to ever play.
And he's a first ballot Hall of Famer
You know what I mean?
himself.
Like Patrick Mahomes is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like however you feel about Patrick Mahomes, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. You know, Tua's not that. Tua never will be that. And if that's what you think Tua should be, you're delusional.
Literally all four of them.
Yeah.
Brady, Kelsey, Gronk, Mahomes, all first ballot Hall of Famers.
Yep. All right. So my final letdown is actually somebody that I never thought I would see on this list. And that's Coach Weaver. All right, Anthony Weaver, our defensive coordinator. I understand you've been hamstrung, right? Is that the right way of saying that?
That's the word. Yep.
Yeah, hamstrung.
We'll say
with
yes. Yeah.
really poor cornerbacks. Your entire cornerback room is kind of a laughingstock and kind of, to be honest, a disaster. However, and this is maybe me. Maybe I put too high of expectations on Weaver after what he did last year. What he did last year, I wanted him as our head coach. I wanted to fire McDaniel in the offseason. I wanted to promote him as our head coach. I'm not shy. I'm not going to shy away from that. But what his defenses have done, back-to-back 33-point games, okay game against the Bills, but no pressure on Josh Allen when he's the type of quarterback you need to get pressure on. I don't know, man. It's hard to continue to defend him. Now, I get it. Again, he's got really bad cornerbacks, and really bad cornerbacks make a lot of things way more complicated. So I'm kind of tongue-in-cheek with this, talking out of both sides of my mouth, but I just want to see more from him. I want to see a better coached defensive game. Yeah,
I mean, we're dead last in points allowed per game at 32.3.
And yes, Abel, I fully understand him and Minka at least look pissed. I get it. Yes. Hey, if that's the bar we're setting, we are screwed. Right.
Speaking of Minka, let's move over to the legends if you don't mind. Let's talk some positivity and to end on a high note here.
Give it to me.
I'm sticking to the safety room, bro. I'm going Ashton Davis. We saw him finally get some playing time here in replacing Melifonwu, who was already hurt. Shocker there. Guy with career injuries is hurt. Ashton Davis comes over, mostly a special teamers when he played for the Jets. And man, all I saw was flashes of 21 across the damn screen. Yeah. At least this dude can tackle. While everybody else on the team is running up and getting run over by Allen and getting run over by Cook, Ashton Davis is coming in and laying down the wood, dude.
Yeah, he's snatching souls. He sure
Absolutely what you want to see a guy do when he gets an opportunity to play. He was all over the place. He was making plays. He was the reason that their run game got stagnant. He was the reason their short passing game got stagnant. Like, Ashton Davis came in and was a game changer on a defense that actually played fairly well in the second half of this game. I got to just give a huge old shout out to him. I hope he continues to improve and it wasn't just a one-time thing. But at least for this game here, buddy, Ashton Davis is a legend.
Yeah, and what a great pick. And for me, the first one of mine too is Bradley Chubb. And he was mine last, or I think maybe it was yours. He's been on our list as a legend.
Yeah, every game you make the list.
Because yet again, coming off of a major injury where he sat out a whole year, he now has a sack in every game, and he had one against the Bills. And sure, it wasn't a game-defining sack or anything like that. But when push came to shove, Chubb stepped up and he made plays in the run game. He was constantly disruptive. He was constantly in Josh Allen's way when Josh Allen shaded to his side. And I love seeing a player who has a lot of opinions on him from our fan base come back from missing a whole year with a serious injury and looks like he's better than he was before the injury, because we weren't getting this from Chubb pre-injury. Well, I think we were that year, because I think he had 5 or 6 sacks before he went down. But this is great. If we can get a sack a game from Chubb, at least the defense can keep, Yeah.
I mean, I'll admit I was one of the guys who wasn't really happy about Chubb being back until he restructured his contract, and then I was okay.
That was great.
I thought he was getting paid way too much money to not play. But yeah, fantastic pick there, I think.
Yep.
I mean, most people look for a contributor because we have a big rotation on pass rushers. For a contributing pass rusher, I think 5 to 7 sacks is the goal. He's already got 3. I mean, he's halfway there.
Yeah, exactly.
So, great job by him. Hopefully he hits the 10+ mark. That would be fantastic.
Who's your last one?
I'm going back to the offensive side of the ball.
Oh, okay.
Ironically enough, we are choosing the same position, but 2 different players in that position here. I'm actually going with our beloved Ollie Gordon, our 6th round pick out of, what was it, Oklahoma State or something like that.
Savior from Oklahoma.
This dude finally, Dolphins fans, Dolphin YouTubers, everybody who knows the Miami Dolphins have been saying Mike McDaniel. I mean, Taylor said it in our chat. McDaniel, lean on Ollie, he'll save your job, right? And he did for the first half at least.
Sure
Ollie
did.
Gordon finally gets a chance. 9 carries, 38 yards. But that was not the story. He ran with power. He ran with aggression. There was nobody stopping him on 3rd and 1. This dude was running people over. So much so that the announcers compared him to Ronnie Brown and Ricky Williams. Remember those two? They were pretty good. So Ollie Gordon gets my legendary status this week. He's my top dog. I thought he looked fantastic, and I hope to see him get 10+ carries the rest of the year.
Absolutely. And that opening drive was amazing. And Anthony, you and I were talking, we were like, dude, if this is they might blow the Bills out. I mean, that was crazy.
Early game.
Yeah.
305 Gridiron, you silly Billies.
Dolphins fans have the best kind of copium. And mine, to your point, Achane, right? I mean, I struggled to find legend in this game, especially after I saw you take Ollie, but Achane is steady. He's the best player on this team, in my opinion, and it's not particularly close. 12 carries, 62 yards, didn't get a touchdown, but he also had 7 receptions for 29 yards with a long of 15. I mean, he's everywhere. I am thrilled about our 1-2 running back punch. And for somebody that is a Jalen Wright fan, I'm sorry, buddy. I hope you find another team because there is no way, shape, or form running back 1 and 2 shouldn't be Achane and Ollie Gordon.
Hey, big kudos to MMD on that one. 19 touches for Devon Achane. That's what we've been asking for here. That boy needs 20 touches a game.
Yep, that's the threshold. Is that 20? That 20 mark? Yep.
Yeah, so him to get 19. I know he didn't get in the end zone, but still had 91 yards on the total. So
my fantasy team wishes he would have gotten into the end zone, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Let's not talk fantasy. It's just a negative impact. All right, that's our takeaways from the Dolphins-Bills game on Thursday night. Hopefully everybody here enjoyed it because we want to hear your takeaways on this game. Thank you so much to Abel and Balakai. Frozen Fin fan dropped by as well, dropping their opinions in the chat throughout our live show. Just a reminder, we are live every Monday and Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. On Mondays, we do our reaction show. On Wednesdays, we do our preview show. Now, of course, we play on next Monday, so that episode will likely be shifted to Tuesday. Josh and I haven't talked too much about it yet, but that's the typical approach.
Yes, that'll be the approach.
So we will shift next Monday's show to Tuesday to talk about the Jets and Dolphins reactions. But first, catch us on Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, right here on the good old YouTubes. Drop a like, drop a subscribe, and hit the bell button if you would like to be notified when we go live, because we will be talking Dolphins Jets in what could be an actual winnable game for our boys. Oh God, I'm just dreaming of a win. Just dreaming of it.
Dreaming for a positive podcast about a win.
Oh, Abel, don't wish that upon us.
No,
that's it.
Abel.
That is it for us here on the 3. I'm not even putting it up on the screen. I don't want that voodoo, juju, whatever you want to call it.
That.
So that's going to do it for us here on the 305 Gridiron. Big thank you all once again for tuning in, dropping your questions, and riding with us here tonight. You guys really are what make the show special. Love absolutely chatting with you, and love your opinions and your takes because you help drive the show. You can get us off topic really easily just by asking a good question in the chat. So
yeah, we are ADD dogs with shiny things. Yes,
so bad.
It's
so
awesome.
Bad. All right, smash the like button, hit subscribe, and share us with your fellow Fins fans. We'll be back Wednesday night for a preview of the Dolphins Jets Monday night showdown. Another night game for our Fins. On behalf of Josh, aka Aqua Ace, who is that way, not this way, I'm Anthony Pinzone. Thank you so much for hanging with us today. Fins up, and we'll catch you next time.